rise for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Ms. Dora.
Present.
Ms. Loper.
Present.
Mr. Baxter. Present. Mr. Green.
Present.
Myself present. Mr. Mays.
Present.
Ms. Jonah.
Present.
All present.
Need approval for the agenda for the board meeting, April the 28th, 2025.
So move.
Support.
Have a motion by Allen, supported by Mays, to approve the board agenda for April the 28th, 2025. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Discussion.
You want a roll call?
Yep.
Roll call.
Ms. Dora.
Yes.
Ms. Loper.
Yes.
Mr. Baxter.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Mays.
Yes.
Ms. Jonah.
Yes.
Vote unanimous.
Need a motion to approve the minutes of the board meeting August the 14th, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Support.
I have a question
Have
about
a motion by Baxter, supported by Loper, to approve. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I have a discussion on the minutes, specifically about the forensic audit. It was my understanding that the administrators of the program are gonna be getting the activity report, and that's how it was worded. Did you make that motion, Mr. Mays?
No.
I made the motion.
Mays made the motion.
Oh, back.
But it wasn't.
Supported by Loper, to table the forensic audit. Recommended issues until board receives something in writing
Mhm.
or active reporting from whoever stating that something is wrong.
That's correct.
That's the correct motion?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call, please.
Ms. Loper.
Yes.
Mr. Baxter.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Mays.
Yes.
Ms. Jonah. Ms. Dora.
Yes.
6-1.
Need a motion to approve payment of the bills from April 9th through April the 23rd in the amounts of $1,042,482.08. What's your pleasure?
Support.
Have a motion by Jonah, supported by Mays, to approve payment of the bills from April 9th through April 23rd, totaling $1,042,482.08. Is there any discussion in regards to payment of the bills? Hearing none, roll call.
Mr. Baxter.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Mays.
Yes.
Ms. Jonah.
Yes.
Ms. Dora.
Yes.
Ms. Loper.
Yes.
Vote unanimous.
At this time, we set aside public comments, up to 3 minutes for agenda items only. Is there anyone wishing to make comments in regards to agenda items? Public comments in regards to agenda items? Hearing none, I'll close public comments. Unfinished. Treasurer requests township business reimbursement for treasurer's department. Need a motion to remove it from the table.
I'll move.
Support.
And a motion by Jonas, supported by Mays, to remove the treasurer's request, township business reimbursement for treasurer's department. Roll call.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Mays.
Yes.
Ms. Jonah.
Yes.
Ms. Dora.
Yes.
Ms. Loper.
Yes.
Mr. Baxter. Vote unanimous.
All right, Ms. Treasurer, it's up to you in regards to your request.
Well, my request is that the treasurer's department is reimbursed for doing their business of the township and taking deposits to and from the bank. Both the treasurer and the deputy treasurer.
That's your motion, ma'am?
Yes, it is.
Support.
Is it time for questions?
Yeah,
Or
discuss.
We have a motion by Jonas, supported by King, to reimburse the treasurer for making deposits and the deputy treasurer. Any further discussion on the motion?
I do.
Yes.
I did read the information that was, I got it late Monday, so therefore I did not vote on it because I received it too late, enough time to read it. And I did read it. I read our policy, and then I read where all of the different townships, majority of them are reimbursing the officials. This is just my opinion. When I read it, it said the township shall reimburse all officials and employees for necessary expenses incurred in performing their duties. And as I read down, it talked about statutory duties. This is how I interpreted it. I work for MTA, and last week I went to Mount Pleasant. I didn't get paid to go and speak, but I did get paid reimbursement for my travel because that's an expense that I incurred while doing my statutory duties. I think that when reading this, I think you should decide which one is going. You know, if you go 1 week, then you get reimbursed for it, or if the deputy treasurer does it the next week, then they get reimbursed. I think that they are entitled. Now, when we look back, Maryland did get reimbursed. I don't know if that was something that was decided between Gail and Maryland that she would be the one. But if you're out doing your speak today, your duties, and you incur an expense, you should be reimbursed for it. You shouldn't get paid to go to the bank, but you should be paid for your expense that it costs you to get there. And that's how I interpreted it. Again, I go out, I speak all the time for MTA. I'm not paid to speak, but I'm paid if I have an expense. So when you read this and you look at all of the different townships, and if you all got this and went through this, they are reimbursing. Some of them even allow, they have like a, one of them said, and I circled it, it had like a little stipend for them, or they had a car money set aside for it. So that is my opinion, and I did not vote again because I didn't have this information in front of me because it was given at the last minute. But when I went through and started looking, I think that this is it's up to our interpretation, and I interpret it as having an expense that you have to incur when you're doing your duties. That's my opinion.
My opinion is that, past practice, I'm just gonna say that, is that all elected officials that we all have not ever received any mileage from what we were elected to do. Only our deputies or anybody under that, any employee that made an errand or something on behalf of the township got paid. That has always been the practice, that none of us got mileage because it was within our statutory duty. Now, if my deputy went on my behalf, that deputy did receive that mileage, and the records would show that, unless we go on to a conference or anything like that. But other than that, it has always been a
And
mute issue.
where do you make the difference between that conference and going to the bank, let's say? Dwayne, what
That's
would
a-
be the difference in your mind when you,
Just training. That is going to training. Just certification as far as me. That's something that we all do. Classes that we take to get better. So that's where I think and then running an errand to go get something for election. That's totally just an errand in general. So it's something that is improving me and something that's doing something for the township. I think that's where I make the clear distinction.
Well,
So-
deposits are made on a daily basis when the bank is open. You don't have daily personal expenses that you're incurring with your vehicle and your own gas to do those duties. I mean, you may have infrequent things that you need to do, but this is a regular part of the treasurer's office.
And some of the, if you read some of them, they had cars that were available
right?
to do the running. That's how some of them, if you look at this, some of them had cars that was designated for the person to take it on my job, we do have cars.
Right.
If I choose not to take my car, I can use a company car. If they're not available, then I use my own car and I get reimbursed. Again, it's the interpretation, but if you clearly read this, it really does, you are entitled to it. Now, maybe past practice, we just didn't do it, but that doesn't mean that the person doing it was not entitled, in my opinion.
Anyone else? If you read through all the things that was sent in regards to reviewing that, you'll find that most of those are small municipalities that are rural, and the treasurer is driving 25, 30 miles each way. Under the treasurer's statutory duties in regards to the revenue she receives for the job, it says receive and deposit all township revenue and payments in approved depositories. That's a
I
part
read
of
it
her
all.
job description that says for doing your job, taking the money to the bank is a part of your job. And driving 5.5 miles to the bank and driving back to the township, I don't think justifies reimbursing the treasurer for a financial hardship for doing her job that she was elected for. That's my opinion.
That's fine.
Anyone else?
Yep.
Yes, sir?
So is it possible, so you're not incurring any cost?
Yes, I am.
No, listen, let me finish. I said, is it possible, so you're not incurring any cost, is it possible to assign those duties to the deputy treasurer?
Yes, but I need my deputy.
And the township need you. So who's more expendable, you or the deputy?
You asked me. I don't have a deputy that's been sworn in yet.
Okay.
I have an approved contract, and I have a lot of really good qualified candidates
So,
I'm interviewing.
so,
But to date, I don't have a deputy
Okay.
that can do this
So-
particular
I get it,
job.
So
So
Reggie,
let-
I'm sorry, were you saying that then, if it was a deputy, that we would then reimburse the deputy and you wouldn't have issue with
And
that?
she wouldn't incur any cost.
That's what's
No,
in
I
the-
get that she wouldn't incur any costs, but we would pay the deputy.
That's correct.
But the only difference between a deputy and an elected is that the elected has a vote. The
Mm-hmm.
deputy is responsible for doing all the duties that I do. So
Correct.
when you look at it in that light, and the only objection to reimbursement for any elected official is getting mileage to and from meetings, like this meeting today. Nobody gets mileage for this meeting.
No.
You do, however, if you're part of the planning commission or the zoning board, you get a stipend for your attendance. But no mileage is ever to be paid, but that's how we help compensate for that expense for those folks. And
But-
that's all I'm asking
Okay,
for.
but what I'm saying though, this is what I'm saying. I understand you don't have a deputy right now. And I understand you're incurring those costs. But what I'm saying is, once you do get a deputy, is it possible to assign those duties over to the deputy so you're not incurring any costs? And then we can reimburse the deputy.
Correct.
In the meantime, if you're incurring any costs right now, I'm not against, I'll just put it out there, I'm not against reimbursing any person that's doing that assignment. But-
I've been doing it regularly since November 20th.
Okay, so, but moving forward, I'm just putting that out there. Is that something that can be assigned to the deputy to make those deposits?
Sure.
Okay, that's all I need to know.
And that's probably what happened. Gail probably assigned that to Marilyn, and I'm fine with that. But since she does not have a deputy treasurer, she should be allowed to get the reimbursement, because it clearly says in the first line, the township will reimburse all officials and employees. It didn't say employees, it just employees only. It clearly states all officials and employees for necessary expenses incurred in performing their duties. So until she has somebody, which will be the employee, then she should be able to get reimbursement.
And for the most part, that's how it would work.
And when they come on board, she can turn it over to the deputy treasurer to do it.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So my whole, take on this, so, as well as Larry going to different meetings on behalf of the township, Mr. Green, I'm sorry, and myself doing clerk work going down to the county, that as well as reimbursable is what you're saying.
That's what it says right here.
That's what it says right here. Maybe you
So
We
choose
didn't,
not to
we didn't
take
make
it
this
away.
up, it's in writing.
And maybe, I mean, Mr. Green, do you use your own vehicle, or do you have a vehicle assigned to you?
I use my own vehicle.
You are entitled, now whether or not you take the
But-
entire, you know,
But the aspect is, the guideline says that's part of my duty. The same as it says for the treasurer for that office, that's part of her duties, is to collect the revenue and to deposit that revenue. It's a part of her duties that says, this is what you're gonna be paid, and these are the things that you're expected to. Now, if you assign that duty to the deputy treasurer, yes, if they're both here. If she's not here, then that becomes a part of the deputy's job to fill in when the treasurer isn't here. But the law says she must appoint a deputy. She must be bonded. Not 5 months after she's taken office.
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
But the aspect
But we're talking about
is,
this
I was gonna say, let's
reimbursement.
stay on
We
subject.
on have something else.
it's
Yeah.
a part of her job duties according to the law. And she's already being compensated because we set the wages, the previous board did, in regards to what trustees receive, what the clerk receives, what the treasurer receives, and what the supervisor receives in regards to their salaries.
The previous board didn't set those salaries. They were given to us when we got here. Let me clear that up.
Well,
However,
each
this here
board-
says the township shall reimburse all officials and employees. That is clear as day, officials and employees. Now,
Read the
if we
rest-
wanna
read the rest
change
of
it, I read all of that. She's not being paid to go to the bank. She's being paid the expense she incurred, which is her gas. That's a difference. Now, if you choose not to do that, that's fine. But it clearly says that you are eligible if you're official or an employee. We do need a deputy treasurer, 100%, and then we wouldn't have this issue. That's it in a nutshell, but we're not here to go there. But nevertheless,
Any more
we're right here.
Yep. Any more discussion?
And just for the record, her vehicle is always available if someone needs to make an errand here or there, so want to take it
What
down to
vehicle would that be?
We can find one.
Yeah, okay, all right.
We found one there. Could have
I
saw that.
I mean,
Had an offer.
Because I was just gonna say that, if we wanna get her a vehicle, I think it might cost the township a whole lot more than paying a little bit of gas money for her to get there and back.
Didn't say we'd furnish a vehicle, it said one would be available.
Well, make
Any
one
further
available.
discussion?
Not one available.
All she has to do is request.
Okay.
Okay.
Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call.
myself, no. Mr. Mays,
Yes.
Ms. Jonah,
Yes.
Ms. Dora,
Yes.
Ms. Loper,
Yes.
Mr. Baxter,
No.
Mr. Green.
No.
Motion carries 4-3.
Under new business, approval of the BDA meeting dates. You have them in your packet, they meet 4 times a year. What's your pleasure?
So move.
Support.
I have a motion by Allen, supported by Mays, to approve the BDA meeting dates. Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Mays.
Yes.
Ms. Jonah,
Yes.
Ms. Dora,
Yes.
Ms. Loper,
Yes.
Mr. Baxter.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Myself, yes. Vote unanimous.
Next request on the agenda is please request to enter into agreement with Ajax for a card dash camera and body cam systems for 5 years, first year $25,000, $951.77. In the following 4 years, $58,391.52. Chief?
Good evening. So I'm asking the board to allow there we go. To enter an agreement with Axon for new camera footage is automatically being offloaded to the cloud. So there's no reason for them to come back, sit in the parking lot while everything's downloading, and then go back onto the road. They can be on the road while everything's downloading via the cloud and through 5G.
What's your pleasure?
Do we
Need a
have?
motion before
yeah.
we can have discussion.
Motion,
Go ahead.
motion approved.
Support.
Support.
Any discussion on the motion?
Can I ask a quick question just for my own correction?
Yes,
How
sir?
long will they store? Because I know right now we have kind of
storage. There's no, limit on the amount of storage. And also, along with with this Axon system, our tasers are through Axon as well. So if an officer jumps out of the car, forgets to turn on his body camera, but he pulls his taser out and activates the taser, that will automatically activate his body camera.
Okay.
Body cameras will talk to one another. If one officer gets out of the car, forgets to turn on his body camera, but another one does, it clicks on that one if they're in close proximity to one another.
Excuse me, Chief, but now I want to make sure I'm reading this right. $25,000 for the first year, says the following 4 years, $58,000, that per year?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yep, and I sent out
Noticed that
these,
too.
summaries. Each of you should have got one in your email. It breaks it down. So there's a billing schedule as well as a savings overview, and the program cost itself. The Fleet 3, that's for all the body, or for the dash cameras. And then you have the Unlimited plus TAP, which that's all the body cameras. So it's broken down into those two summaries that I emailed out last week.
Any further discussion on the motion?
Got a question. Is this, it means that you got rejected for the Kildee grant? Or the one that you applied for?
Peters,
Or Peters, yeah.
we have not heard anything back on that. I suspect probably sometime this summer.
So if we got some of that back, we could,
Yeah, the whole
Apply it.
reason for applying for that grant was for this system.
yeah. I just want to make sure we're not, didn't jump the gun and then they say, oh, you already purchased it. I
Right,
just
right,
want, so it'd be a reimbursement, yeah.
Chief, I understand it's a better system, but what were we paying in the past? So the difference, what would be the difference?
System in the past, we paid for upfront. That was all just one lump sum that we paid, and I would have to go back and look, because that was about 5 years ago now.
Okay.
But it was a lesser program with a lesser company. We went to it because it was cheaper at the time, and now we're paying for it.
I was going to ask you about reviews, but you said then that the tasers were through this company, and you're satisfied with their service with the tasers? Okay.
And they have so Axon has a thing called evidence.com, where all the video footage from the dash cameras, the body cameras, and then all the information from the tasers, because when a taser is used, we have to we remove the battery, that goes into a charging dock, and that downloads information. It downloads how often the taser was used, as far as the trigger pull, how long that trigger was held. So all that information will be held on evidence.com through the body cams, the dash cams, and the tasers.
Okay.
If I could, sorry, just weigh in the different places where I prosecute, both in Shiawassee County and then here, Axon is sort of like a gold standard.
Okay.
The MSP uses their own different system, but non-MSP, Axon is very standard. Evidence.com is kind of what I see almost across the board, so.
Thank you.
They're very, very good.
And with the evidence.com program, we can allow the prosecutor's office access to that to a point. So if we have a case that's down at the prosecutor's office, needs to be reviewed, we can give them the access to the cameras for that incident.
Got it.
In the 5 years we've had the system, or the town, PD's had the system, how many times has it come to where you've been able to discipline and it's been able to save the township because of the dash cams, because somebody has said something and it wasn't the case? I mean, is it all the time, or is it frequent, or?
I can tell you, when we first got the body cameras, it was quite frequent, but now it's calmed down. In the beginning, when we first went to the body cameras, people would come in, want to make a complaint on an officer. Myself or the lieutenant would go, okay, give me 5 minutes, I gotta go review the body cam footage. We'd come out, that person would be gone,
Right.
because they knew everything was caught on video.
Right.
I'm sorry, what was?
I'm just curious if it also protects in the township, in the police department for discipline. I mean, and sometimes, you'll have a bad apple sometimes in your department, and you can weed them out.
Yes, and, with, dash cameras, that's helped in accidents as well. It's helped in other disciplinary issues as well as, for that. I was gonna say something, but I lost my train of thought, but.
I have a question, financial question. So it's gonna be paid for with, I see where you had where it's gonna be paid, so we'll be able to sustain this $58,000 with that same funding for the next 5 years? It's 58.
Through drug forfeiture.
Right, so what about the following years?
The following years, Mr. Holmes and I talked about working that into the police department's budget. Hoping that we do get this grant through Senator Peters' office this summer, which will cover everything. But
If we don't, what is the likelihood that we can sustain that 58,000 every year?
We'd have to make some adjustments within the chief's line items. That would be, if he and I would agree that it'll be a priority purchase, then we'd have to measure some other stuff that might be in the current budget, and it's not being in the future budget to sustain.
And this also helps with our insurance costs as well.
Right.
Okay.
So,
So when Stacy was looking for new insurance carriers, I was helping fill out that paperwork for the police department. Every single one of those companies asked if they had dash cameras and body cameras.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure we get it and we can sustain the cost for the next 5 years.
Honestly, we can't afford not to.
right.
Okay,
You know, all it takes is one lawsuit and,
okay,
you know, and they're gonna say, well, why don't you have dash cameras or body cameras?
okay,
You know, and then
okay.
Especially
Thank
when
you.
you went to them and then if you did away with them. You know.
I'll also say, because we're housing everything on the local server, oftentimes by the time something gets charged, someone gets picked up and they're being brought to court, we've already wiped the server, so I don't have that body cam. And that often that's kind of the thing I hand to the defense attorney and go show this to your client, because I think that might improve their understanding of the situation. Like, I'm going to trial on the 15th, and that's a situation that probably could have been resolved had we had body camera, but because we don't, we're gonna have a he said, she said of the officer and the person on a hindering charge. So this is just, you know, I'm not getting a commission from Axon, I'm just, they are helpful in my day-to-day work as a prosecutor.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I have a question. How much is the Peters grant, if we get it?
applied for $200,000? I applied for a $200,000 grant through Senator Peters.
Okay, so that would cover almost all the costs then, over 4 years, close to it anyway. Okay.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Ms. Jonah,
Yes.
Ms. Dora,
Yes.
Ms. Loper?
Yes.
Mr. Baxter?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Mays?
Yes.
Vote unanimous.
Thank you, Board.
Next item on the agenda, I'm requesting to hire Tony Sopko full-time in maintenance. He presently is just part-time. I make the motion to do so.
Support. I thought he said he made the motion, which he did, and I said I second it.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Motion by
It's
Green,
all right.
supported by King, to support hiring Tony Sopko full-time in maintenance.
I have a couple questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this position was full-time before, from the previous board, and then it went to part-time because we did it for save money. I'm not, against, because I know the summer is coming, we got the pavilion, and we gotta make sure that the bathrooms are clean, and that was one of the things we talked about. My question is that, I was wondering, is that the reason why you're going full-time? And do we have the, budget to support it? And also, if it's going to be full-time, it's going back into the GLC contract, am I correct? Into their, and that has not been solidified yet, so,
The existing contract is still in force.
so he's gonna go under the old contract that's, is that expired, that
He's a-
old contract? Where-
Contracts continue on until the new
Okay.
one is negotiated.
So he's,
And the aspect of reason for hiring full-time is with what he does and goes home with his 5 hours pay, doesn't have time to fix the bridge, the paddle wheel, trim along the west side of the property and the south side of the property where our walkers are. The pavilion roof is deteriorated to the point that I've got, I'm gonna say at least 2 to 3 sheets of plywood exposed where the shingles have deteriorated, and if we don't do something, we're gonna have real issues with that. And there isn't enough time in that 5-hour cycle for him to do these things. And so that's the reason behind it, and
Agree.
talking with the finance director, there was revenue in there to cover that.
Supervisor, I heard a lot, and I agree, Tony's got some really good talent. He knows what he's doing when it comes to stuff like this. But I hear things that you're mentioning that will be done in the summertime or good weather. So is this gonna be full-time throughout the entire year?
Yes.
Okay, and then what kind of jobs would he be doing? Whatever's necessary kind of thing?
Yes.
Okay.
I asked those questions because we didn't want it to go part-time in the first place, but it went down part-time as a cost saving,
Right.
because there were things that needed to be done. That I remember, Elmer talked about the bathrooms not, they need to be clean when you rent the pavilion out. It needs to be done for the next person who's coming in. So there's a lot of things that need to be done. I just wanted to make sure we had the money to put him back in, and then it concerned me that we were putting him back in a contract that had not been resolved, a current contract, a new contract. And that's my concern.
Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Ms. Dora,
Yes?
Ms. Loper,
Yes.
Mr. Baxter,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
myself, yes, Mr. Mays,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson. Vote unanimous.
Next item on the agenda is the financial director's report. Clerk's report.
I have none as well.
At this time, we set aside public comments, where you can address the board in regards to any topic. Anyone wishing to address the board under public comments? Anyone wishing to address the board? Close public comments. Attorney's report.
Yes, I was in trial on 2 other matters last week, so my schedule is much freer this week, so I'm gonna catch up with a couple of items that were put on my deck. Just to kind of give the board an update, we've been having ongoing litigation issues with the property on Cornell regarding their illegal business there, and then their subsequent repeated efforts to stymie our enforcement efforts through frivolous litigation. They currently have 3 different circuit court cases in front of 3 different judges. One is a FOIA dispute that I believe is completely baseless. They've refiled a complaint that was dismissed as baseless and dismissed with prejudice. They basically refiled the same lawsuit, so our hope is that that will get kicked out, and I have talked with our insurance, the lawyer through the insurance company about potentially pursuing sanctions for what is definitionally a baseless lawsuit. If you lose and file the same lawsuit, you should be punished. And then the third one is an appeal of a civil infraction. So we got them on a violation of the zoning ordinance for operating a business in a residential area. They are now attempting to appeal that. They did not file the correct paperwork, so Judge Christensen gave them a week to amend their complaint. My hope is that once that is filed, I will also try to get that dismissed as quickly as possible. I'm trying to handle as many of these myself so that they don't go to the insurance company and incur a claim, but unfortunately, the insurance company does require kind of notice of all of these things. So that's why I'm trying to be a little bit more aggressive in pursuing sanctions against them because, well, one, I'm annoyed I have to keep responding to these things, and 2, I feel bad that the township is spending money continually responding to the same complaints. Other than that, I have mentioned before, I believe my wife is pregnant. She is due to be induced on May 29th, so I will have limited availability the following 2 weeks, but I will try to be here for the meeting that is there. I might not be very pleasant to look at, but I will be here. Other than that, like I said, I do have a trial on the 15th that unfortunately, despite my best efforts, will be going. And I'll keep the board abreast of that. That is basically a misdemeanor resisting and obstructing that the resident is claiming did not occur. So, like I said, it's a he said, she said against our officer, but that will take up probably a full day of the township's time, unfortunately. Other than that, though, thank you.
Fire chief, Station 1.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My assistant chief's been out on medical leave for roughly 2 months now. said, what I'm asking to do is kind of follow suit with what Station Two has done in the past. Is they have 2 battalion chiefs. It'll be a cost savings to our budget of about $208 per month. Moving my 2 captains up, have a day battalion and a night battalion, and just taking their captain's pay and taking $120 out of the assistant chief's pay. It's gonna be a temporary position until either he comes back or he retires. So I'm just asking the board if I could have their permission to.
What's your pleasure?
So moved.
Support.
I have a motion by King, supported by Mays, to allow the chief to move up 2 officers temporarily.
Yeah, it'd be Captain Cody Bryant and Captain Jim Bowe.
Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Ms. Loper,
Yes.
Mr. Baxter,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
myself, yes, Mr. Mays,
Yes.
Ms. Jonah,
Yes.
Ms. Dora,
Yes.
vote unanimous.
And one more thing, and this is gonna be directed to the treasurer. What's the status of getting our bills paid on time?
What bills are you referring to?
Comcast, I'm getting every day, every other day, I'm getting past due notices from them.
I get past due notices too, and the checks have been cleared, so if you have a question about it, you can contact me during the day.
Okay.
Station 2?
I have a situation with, senior citizen complex on Linden Road. I really don't wanna say the name, but we're getting several calls of them overcooking their food, and it's putting a major strain on the budget. I'll
You
send
mentioned
them
this
cost
before.
recovery bills. At one time, they did send a couple checks, but now it's over $5,000 worth of cost recovery. Is this something I could maybe hand over to the township attorney to have
Yes.
him address? I just wanted to get direction from the board.
You're getting that many calls?
We got 2 over the weekend, and same day. We're getting 2 and 3 a day from,
You mentioned this before.
Yes.
I remember you
and
mentioned.
it's like I say, it's just getting cost recovery, I tried to get there and stop the trucks to keep them from going on the road, but you still gotta show up, just in
Right.
case there is a fire.
Right.
Need a
Like the other day,
motion?
we had one Saturday, or 2, we had 2 total, but the manager that lives there come to the door to stop my battalion chief that showed up direct, and said there was nothing wrong. He went up there and there was a pot melted on the stove,
Oh, wow.
so you have to show up, but it's starting to really put a strain.
Got a motion to that effect?
Yes, please.
So moved.
Support.
Can we repeat your motion? Can somebody repeat
State the motion,
state
please.
the motion, please?
I have the
to-
training
yeah.
looking
You didn't make the motion, Joan. She did.
To allow, Station 2 to, provide information to our attorney concerning the senior citizens' home on Linden Road and the excessive calls. And then not getting recovery money from that.
Don't seem to want to be paid no more.
Right.
Wow.
Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Baxter?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Myself, yes. Mr. Mays?
Yes.
Ms. Jonah?
Yes.
Ms. Dora? Ms. Loper?
Yes.
Yes.
Vote unanimous.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
No?
Station 3 isn't here? Chief?
Good evening.
Evening.
Good evening.
So I sent out email to all the board members, 2 Fridays ago. 2 of our officers were injured in a car crash on I-75. I sent the pictures of that vehicle. Those 2 officers are still off on leave right now. They need to go get some MRIs done on their back to make sure they are fit for duty to come back to work. But other than that, they're doing good. I've stayed in constant contact with them, and they're both doing well. So I know they both want to get back to work, but doctors are holding them up for the time being. So there's that. Then, so as you know, because of that, we've had some cars totaled out. in the amount of $26,147. The vehicle that was totaled out on the highway is at Auto Pride on Glasgow Road. We're still waiting for the insurance adjuster to come out and look at that, but Auto Pride's already said that vehicle is beyond repair. So I'm going to ask the board if I may order another cruiser. May 1st is the last day of this year that I can get a car. So I would have to order it tomorrow or Wednesday, and use the insurance payouts to pay for that vehicle. A brand new vehicle would be $42,307. We're already getting an insurance payout of $26,147 back. I expect the next insurance payout to be more because it was a newer car with less miles on it.
What's your pleasure?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So 2 cars, and we're gonna replace it with 1, chief?
Well, we've got the 3 brand new ones.
But I mean, in this instance, when
In
you're,
this instant, yes,
okay.
one car.
okay.
And it is gonna be paid for completely out of the monies
insurance,
retrieved
yeah.
from the insurance?
Yes.
Partially, ain't it?
What's your pleasure?
So moved.
Support.
You state the motion?
Making me work tonight, aren't you, Mr. Green? I like that. I like that. Yes, we would like to allow the chief to order a car for $42,307 and use the insurance payout. One car number was $26,147, and then the other car, whatever
We
ends
don't
up being.
have that yet.
Yes, sir.
The adjusters should be there this week to check that car out.
That's sufficient.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, sir.
Any further discussion on the motion?
19,000. So it's a balance of 19,000 that's left over, approximately 19,000 that's we anticipate on getting back.
Then the other insurance payout, yes.
I just want that for the record.
Yes. We'll amend the motion to include
Sure.
that
Yeah,
balance.
I'll put it on there. I got you.
Thank you, sir.
Any further discussion on the motion? Roll call.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
myself, yes. Mr. Mays.
Yes.
Ms. Jonah,
Yes.
Ms. Dora,
Yes.
Ms. Slover,
Yes.
Mr. Baxter.
Yes.
Unanimous.
Anything else, sir?
Yes, sir. So I would like to address the issue of drug forfeiture money. Ms. Keene and I have been discussing that. She was looking for clarification on that. And most of the times, I can't provide what you're asking for. You're asking for court orders for, I think the other thing you asked for was a CIS, which I don't know what that is. But court orders, in most of the times, with the drug forfeitures, don't happen. And I can explain why. So, when the officers arrest an individual they suspect of dealing drugs or, having funds linked to narcotics, the officers will break down the money. They will count it out, 1s, 2s, 5s, 10s, 20s, 50s, 100s. They'll break it down in this form. Then a supervisor will have to verify the count. The supervisor will sign this form along with that officer. Then the officers will issue the suspect this. This is the notice of seizure and intent to forfeit and dispose of property. It's a carbon copy form. This form has the individual's information on it, notice person served upon, or person notice served upon, their address, then the signature of server, who would be the officer, the date signed, and then it would be reviewed by a supervisor. Also on this form, there's the incident number, and then there's a claim deadline. So there's a claim deadline, it says right here, failure to file a claim of interest within 20 days shall cause the listed property to be declared forfeited and disposed of according to law. So, I would say 9.5 times out of 10, people don't dispute this because they're drug dealers. So they have to come in and, dispute the money that we seize from them, along with drugs and guns and whatnot. So, after that 20 days, we send this notice of forfeiture to the attorney. He then sends a letter to the suspect, basically saying, notice of seizure and property on such and such a date, more than 20 days ago at the time of this notification, your money's gone. So there is no court order nine and a half times out of 10, very rarely. In my 22, almost 23 years, I don't know that I've ever seen a court order for drug forfeiture. It's usually this is how we did it when Attorney Carey was the attorney, and now we're doing it with Mr. Ryan. So we're sitting on close to $14,000 in drug forfeiture. If you walk out the front door, look at the house across the street, we've got 4 cars sitting over there. Those have all been forfeited due to narcotics. We're waiting to send those to auction, so that money can also be put in the forfeiture account. So I'd just like to get this buttoned up as quickly as we possibly could, because I really don't see a reason for it to drag out any longer. So, again, I don't have any court orders or CIS, whatever it was you're looking for. All I have is letters from the attorney who can back up everything that I've said, and move forward.
Yeah, he's provided me with some documentation.
And this has been procedure for years, the way,
Yes.
thank you.
Yeah, just to quickly weigh in, so the way that the law works is it basically puts the burden on the person whose property has been seized to initiate a court action. If they don't say anything after 20 days, that letter that I'm sending out is really a, sorry, you missed the boat, it's
Right.
gone letter. It's a courtesy letter that we do. So it's on them to start a court process. The law allows us basically to just say after 20 days, this is our property now.
Okay.
If you want to dispute that, you gotta do your own court action.
And over the years, we've seen the importance of drug forfeiture money, all the things that the police department's been able to buy for the officers in the department, and even today, I mean, $25,000, $26,000 was used to purchase body cameras. I mean, whatever the issue is, definitely has to get moving forward. And I mean, and I don't know the process of how it works. Thanks for the explanation there. I don't know if it's on the administration side where it's just verifying the money and then making sure that that counts, because it's been verified twice there. You just need the final verification and then
There will be a
deposit.
final verification, then there's basically a sign-off form for, either the lieutenant or myself, and then the treasurer to sign off on if she's accepted the money.
So all the complaint funds have those letters associated from the
Mr.
attorney?
Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Almost, I have not been presented with a notice of seizure that I have not had a corresponding letter gone out with, so they should, at least in my tenure, all of those should have letters associated.
Do you provide a copy of a letter to the chief of police?
I do. When I send it out, I usually just email a copy to Chief.
That's all I
And
need is a
often-
letter.
Okay. And often I CC Lieutenant Van Busker just to be.
We need a motion from the board to
No, I just wanted to clear up
clarification.
any possible questions, because I know there was some emails going back and forth, and all the board members were involved, so I just wanted to kind of break it down so everyone was understanding of how the process works.
Thank you, Chief.
Next item on the agenda is board comments. Mr. Baxter.
We won't have another meeting before Mother's Day, so any moms out there, happy Mother's Day to you. I seen a little one in here earlier. I don't know if it's still here, but it's like, I don't know if that's a new mom, but,
She is.
so, yeah. So, it'd be a special day for her. So, other than that, I really don't have anything.
Mr. Mays.
I'll piggyback on Mr. Baxter as well. Happy Mother's Day upcoming to the mothers. I'm enjoying the weather. I got on short sleeves for the first time this year. Well, second time, because I played golf on Sunday, and it was no expense to the township. But it's expense to me because I'm sore, because I played 18 holes for the first time. But anyway, other than that, happy past Easter and happy Mother's Day coming up. That's all I have.
I just have a question for the attorney, because I've been actively interviewing candidates for the deputy treasurer position. And we had a special meeting on February 18th, and we did approve a contract. Is that contract good for anyone that I appoint? Since,
The hiring would still have to go through the board, but I think you can present that contract and tell them, these are the terms that the board has approved, and then the board would just have to go back and say, yes, with that contract, we accept the employment of this person.
of this person.
Wasn't that contract offered to one person specifically?
agree.
And what they had requested, the board countered that aspect in that contract?
That's what was
And
approved,
it
the
was
countering.
specifically for that individual.
Oh, right, and that salary was specifically for that individual.
The board would prefer to renegotiate the contract with any, that's up to the board.
But it was specifically for that individual.
It was specifically for that individual. We just can't say, we were gonna give that person money, so we're gonna bring the next person in at that same salary. We need to negotiate that.
Okay.
Now, what the board can do is, at the next meeting or at a special meeting, agree to, this is what we're looking to offer. Kind of, you know, the way if you send out a job posting and say, hey, we're willing to pay $20 to work here, you know, $20 an hour, whatever. You could do that as like, this is what we agree to pay them, and then once you have a candidate, you just bring them in and say, do you accept this person at these, with these terms? That would be another way to do it also.
Okay. So it's by the person, then it's not by the position, because the way I was reading the minutes, it was, the contract was approved for the deputy treasurer's contract, so.
I think the board could delegate that to you, but it sounds like the board does not want to.
I disagree with what just was said. It's not by the person, it's by the salary range that we have on the job description. We were asked to go above that salary based on this particular person's credentials. You asked for one amount, we said no. We counter offered it, and apparently the person said no as well. But there's a salary range that we have, and we just, you know, we don't just say, okay, you get this, you get, no. It should be based upon the salary
And it
range.
may be helpful if we do that, if the board agrees upon what we want to offer for the salary.
It's
in
on the
with that
job,
range-
when they
on that
applied, they
range.
saw the salary range. 'Cause
Exactly.
it was posted like that.
That way, but I'm saying that way, nothing more than what we're willing to give is being offered.
Any further?
I'm still confused, so it
Well-
would have to be based on, it would have to be re-brought back to the board then. is what you're saying.
Yes.
But on that, in saying all of that as well, and I've talked about this before, and we've talked about it before, we've had these discussions. As a township, each position should have a starting salary. And that should be across the board. It shouldn't be based on whatever.
Right.
We need to have that in place, so we don't have to have these discussions.
I agree. I
It's been
agree with
sent out
that.
to the company we passed last week, so
Okay.
they're gonna do their research and get back with us. Wage study. That was one.
And if the person comes in, and again, you know, I have to take some responsibility on this, and shame on us. If you apply for a job and the job description is between $20 and $25, and you come in here with 2 doctorate degrees, you knew when you applied for the job, it was between $20 and $25. So you can't come in there and say, well, I got 2 doctorate degrees, so I should get $35.
Okay.
No,
So
I mean,
basically, I just wanted to get legal clarification that the motion that was approved on the 18th was for that particular person.
Or that situation.
that situation.
Or that situation.
Thank you.
In that situation.
What
She had a
situation
choice,
would that
she had
be?
a choice to accept the contract or complete her existing contract that she had, and she turned down a contract and continued under the contract that she was hired as.
That's
And
true.
she stayed there until that time had expired
It was like a
and then
week,
left,
yeah.
okay? Considerably difference in wages.
3 weeks.
So, anything else?
Nope.
Mr. Allen?
Long night. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. That's all I got.
Mrs. Loper?
Okay. Couple things. I'm gonna end on a good note, but I'm gonna start. May not be a good note. I have a question. as elected officials, do we have set office hours? And if we don't, because when I got elected, all 3 positions were here during the allotted times that they said they were going to be here, Monday through Thursday from, was it 7 to 5? Is that standard? And and the reason I'm asking is because I have been approached by people saying they've came up and, lines are long and there's only one person here, or they've came up in other offices and nobody's there. If you're not going to be here every day, because I thought you were supposed to, because, again, when I first got elected, Ms. Armstrong was here every day, and so was Ms. Brenda. They were here every day. So if that's not the case, is there some hours that are standard so that people know? Because, and again, I'm just telling you what the community is saying to me. If you come up and somebody's not here and you don't have an idea what day they're going to be here, if you're only going to work 2 days a week, what 2 days are they? And what hours are those 2 days? Or if you're only going to work 3 days a week, I wanted to know. I looked it up. I tried to find it. Is it mandatory or is it a rule or what is it? What is our policy about the hours that elected officials work? Because if that's the case, you can just be part-time and, we working something else and doing,
And the salaries we have are not part-time salaries. They are full-time salaries, and that's what we voted in my eyes, was a full-time position, just like when Miss Brenda was our clerk, Miss Armstrong was our treasurer. We knew they were going to be here Monday through Thursday. And if they were not, we probably knew ahead of time or that they were sick. But to have both our clerk and our treasurer's office, we don't know when you're going to be open. There's a note plastered on the door at the last minute. That's not good enough for our community, and there's complaints going around, so we need to settle it somehow. If it's going to be a part-time job, let's pay you part-time. Okay.
Ms. King, that's
I know.
not accurate about I can't speak with nobody else, but the clerk office is always there. We always got somebody.
That's not true.
That's
Come on,
true.
Dwayne. No, it's not true.
It's true.
I'm talking about you and your position. I'm talking about Stacy. I'm not talking about the people that work for you. I'm talking about you as the clerk and Miss Jonna as the treasurer. This is what we're speaking about.
Right.
Okay, we're talking about the leaders.
If I'm not here
of
early,
the
I'm here a
leaders.
little late, most of the time, but, my record, I stand up on. I'm usually here or around around the office doing something.
I'm not over here policing either one of you. This is our
what we're
community.
getting. This
Our
is what they're
community is
saying to
coming
us.
about it.
That's what they're saying to us. So, and I that's what I'm saying. If it's not that, then is it some standards where I'm gonna be here Monday, Tuesday, or am I gonna be here Tuesday, Thursday, or something, so that the community knows? And I know y'all just looking at us, but I'm not making this up. This is what we're getting. This is what we're getting. People are asking, and they're coming in here looking. And if it's going to be a part-time position where you can have another job and do this on the side, then let us know. Because when we got elected, all 3 positions were here every single day.
Yes, ma'am, they were.
They were here. And so I just wanted it to change. And if so, when? And what's the new hours? Okay.
She's not asking a lot, guys. She's just not asking a lot.
I just
for our
want to know.
community to
I
be
just
able
want
to know when we're open.
Like I said, but it can also be 2 disgruntled people or persons in the community too that's saying the same thing.
There's
but
not
most
no 2
parts,
disgruntled people.
like I said, I'm not hard to find. When anybody calls, I answer the call, or me, I even come to wherever they are at. So if somebody come up and look for me, it may seem that I'm not there, but majority of the time, I'm at work.
Here?
That's where I work at.
Okay.
I wanted to bring it out because it was brought to me, and I wanted to put it out there in the open so that people could get the answers. At least I can ask the questions. So there it is. And the other thing that I just wanted to address, first of all, I want to commend the fact that we are getting our board packets in a timely manner. However, last week, we got it at 4:58. The township was closed. It is really important that we get our board packets in a timely manner, because Friday, and me and Dwayne, we already talked about this, and for whatever reason, we didn't get until after the township closed. Unfortunately, I had a death in my family, and I was out on bereavement Friday. So the only time when I got this was today, and I did at least get a chance to look it over. I don't want to come up here and I'm not prepared. I want to be able to read it. At least I have an hour. Even if I get it at 3 o'clock, I can call before 4:30 and say, hey, where's this? What's this? That's the other. It's just only fair to the board members to get it in a timely manner, and so that we can answer the questions and make a good judgment when we make our votes. Okay, on a positive note, I know, go ahead.
No, I said previous,
Have to
prior
go
to this
there.
previous, board, last year was always Thursday of last year before the end of closing day. It doesn't have a time frame to which I have to send out the agenda. Since then, I've always been willing to do things Wednesday, right after, between noon and 3 p.m. I usually be ready to have the board packet sent out, because I think I even talked to the attorney over here who asked me, because if you look consistently, but it was asked if I can wait till Thursday, but it's already sitting on my desktop ready to go. So it's not nothing that I'm just wanted you to know. It's not no really rhyme or reason to, or time that locks me into specifically getting it out, but preferably no later than Thursday before business close. But usually I'm doing it Wednesday to give everybody a proper time. So that was a request. Why I didn't, so it wasn't nothing personal or nothing that holding me out.
I just want to be able to, even if we have an hour, to say, hey, I just got the agenda, I have a question, can you give me some more information on that? Because once you shut down on Thursday, Friday, the office is closed. And if I don't have an opportunity to get to work, then I don't have a chance to read it. I don't know about everybody else, what their day look like, but I just want the opportunity to at least look at it
Sure.
before
Any questions?
Thursday.
Hit me up. We talked today.
Okay.
I mean, you can
'Cause
anybody.
you know I was gonna,
anybody
you know I was
call.
gonna bring it up, so I just
Anything
bringing it
on
up.
the agenda, like
Okay.
I said, I'm always available.
Now, on a positive note, and that was positive because I care about my community and I wanted those questions to be answered. Congratulations, Mr. Ryan, on the new baby. It's always exciting. Congrats and happy Mother's Day to everybody, and that's it.
Christine.
Ditto on the congratulations. Is this your first?
No, this is my third.
Okay, well, congratulations anyways. You're gonna be real busy now. Now I know you're broke. All right, when you get that third one. I do want to mention too that we still have not approved our personnel policies and procedures, and it must be done. We're bouncing up on our audit in the next few weeks, and this is something I would like the clerk to put on the agenda for our next meeting and send out what we have in writing so that we can go through it again and get it fresh in our minds and vote on it at our next meeting if that can be. If that can be put in place, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, it was already. I talked to Michelle about that.
Okay.
And, yeah, we already on
Tag
that.
team.
On that.
Okay.
It's on schedule to be put on.
All right, good deal. I want to apologize for my missing the last meeting. I had a little bit of the flu bug. You guys did not want to be around me that day. And I do want to say that that little one that you saw walking around, that's my great-grandbaby, okay? And his name is Silas Jackie King, so he's got a whole lot of big feet to fulfill and accomplish here in this community, and I anticipate that he's off to a good start. So if I look, act, talk like I'm exhausted, I am, okay? Because this is why God has women have their babies young, because at this age, it is too much to be up all night, every night. But it's a blessing, and I just want to say I can't stop smiling because of him. He's adorable. That's all I have.
Excuse me, Mr. Green, I'm sorry. Something that I forgot.
We allow you to do that once a month.
All right, I'm taking my mulligan right now. So, if you can, check with the road commission, Genesee County, because from my understanding, when they start on these roads, wherever they start, if there's cars on the streets, they're gonna tow them. So, and they come out early. So is it possible that, first of all, if you can verify that information, secondly, if they are gonna do that, is it some kind of notification that we can send out to the people that the targeted streets live on? So they can have their cars moved, or what kind of notice would they have to move their cars?
We can put it on the website when the county road commission gives us the area they're going to start in,
Okay,
and we can notify them that way. And I can request the ordinance enforcer possibly to be able to go by to write up a letter and put it on each of the doors of the residents in those areas that this is going to transpire. But other than that, it's a lot of legwork.
yeah,
But I concur with your findings, and we will see what we can do to address that issue,
okay,
okay?
okay.
Mr. Green, I got one more.
You have one more?
I do.
The
When is,
second Tuesday of next week, or?
no, when are they gonna start picking up, the grass and,
They already,
they
already.
started it?
May
Next week?
May 1st.
May 1st, okay.
Now, in regards, are you talking yard waste?
Yard waste.
They started that last week, every other week.
Mr. Loper must have just didn't cut the grass, that's why he didn't know, he asked me.
If you stop
Okay.
and get one of those little slips
Yeah, they
that
have a
we
schedule, yeah.
have up there, that'll give you the schedule of when they do it. And you can give that to your residents, and if they call, my staff has been, when they call, we send them a copy of the trash pickup, recycling, and yard waste.
Comes in handy. I use mine all the time because I never remember when it's,
Okay,
you know.
I'll pick one up, it's upstairs.
Right on, right next to the clerks where you pay taxes.
Anything else you wanted?
No, that was it, I forgot to ask about that.
Okay. Genesee County Metro Planning Commission sent me an email that stated on May 13th, June 10th, July 15th, and August 12th will be their recycling days. Please take one and pass it down. And the one behind this is a young man that our ordinance enforcer notified that he was in violation because he had unlicensed vehicles. And he was very upset in regard to the aspect that they have current plates inoperable. And the one automobile had expired plates, the other automobile, which happened to be a truck, didn't have a front fender on the driver's side or headlights on the front. Talking with the chief of police and some of the other officers that involved in that, if he drove it down the road, he'd be pulled over for an inoperable vehicle dismantled on the road. So he said he was gonna be here tonight, so I want the board to be aware of those things. And the other item I have is under the guidelines of the state, it says that the supervisor is in charge of all employees. And I would like a motion from the board to indicate that I am in charge of all employees of Morris Township. If you look in your little red book on page 76, item N, says to assume all the duties and responsibilities of personnel director of all township employees. So I'm asking the board to,
Where's that located at?
it's in your
Little red book.
that we gave you. And I've highlighted it if you want to look at it. I need a motion to that effect, please.
So, I have a question before, you gonna make the motion first, and then we can ask the question?
Yes, ma'am. I'll make the motion.
Support.
Is there any discussion on the motion?
I have one. So when
Yes.
you're in charge of all of them and you're over them, what does that look like? You're the ones that can determine whether or not they be terminated? Because if that's the case, then what would be?
To be terminated, an employee, you would have to follow the procedures under the union contract, which stipulates specifically the procedures we have to go through to do so. Under the aspect, it would be working with the financial director. If we're in financial hardship, we could reduce the number of hours that a employee would be working, things that we could do to establish the budget to make it feasible so the township stays afloat. And, basically, that's what I'm asking for.
So if somebody works for Dwayne, I'll just use Stacy, sorry Stacy, you know, so I'm just gonna use you. If Stacy works for Dwayne, and something needs to be done and she didn't do it, and he's the one that would do the actual write-up, who's gonna, I'm trying to figure out where you come in, if he's the one that's
That's,
overseeing her, making
Okay.
sure she's doing what she's supposed to do, so.
Okay. but Ms. Loper, under the aspect of deputy treasurer and a deputy clerk, are under the jurisdiction of the clerk and treasurer. They can say, you did a nice job, or you did a terrible job, and I don't want you anymore, I'm gonna hire somebody else. They have that authority. I'm talking about all our hourly employees, period.
Police and fire included?
Fire is volunteer. Police, yes. Whether we would enact any of those are not the issue. The issue is the authority of us doing so without coming to the board and it says, I gotta lay off 10 people to balance the budget so that we can open the doors, okay?
Well, I guess my question is, if it's already in the book, it's already wrote, why do we have to do a motion? I mean, it looks like you already have it, because it's what, this is what this is saying,
That's
you have that
correct.
authority.
It
So
also
why do we need to
says
have a
that
motion?
as part of my fiduciary duties, I'm paid a salary to do those duties, not to be reimbursed for them. That's the reason I'm asking, okay? Because technically, I have the authority to do that right now under the law. And so I'm asking the board to assure that with a motion that I have the authority to schedule work hours.
Do you have something in specifically that's troubling,
Yeah,
that's going down? Is there something we need to, that we should know about?
If there is, I would let you know.
Okay.
But no, ma'am, there is none.
I guess, and maybe it's just me, I'm just trying to figure out
No.
where this came from, because,
No.
you know, if
It
it's
came from
already
the,
in
it
writing.
came from the board in writing that says that's my fiduciary
get it.
duties, and I
Okay.
shouldn't be compensated for not doing my job. So under that aspect, I'm asking this board to give me authority to be in charge of all employees, even though the law says I already have that authority.
Well, I think I know where this is coming from.
Can you enlighten us?
Yeah, I have 2 cashiers, and I have one that is here present working 2 days a week, and then I have one cashier that's here 4 days a week. The days when the secondary cashier isn't here, there's no one available to give Jean a break, so she
Why
cuts.
is that? Was she here by herself?
Yes.
Because the
That's the problem
treasurer,
right there.
because the
She's here by
treasurer
herself.
doesn't
I
fill
have
in.
2 full-time employees, but I have one that's working
Okay.
unlimited, restricted hours, okay? And so when she is there, she only takes a half an hour lunch so she can get back to work and wait on the residents, and then she has to go home a half an hour early, which is 4:30. Well, she's not taking a full lunch, so I accommodate that request as long as, you know, there are no residents coming in after 4:30, and as long as she balances and everything's good, then I honor that. Otherwise,
How do we
she has
know
to get
there's not gonna be
overtime.
somebody coming in after 4:30?
Because our
Because the
we
doors
don't
close
have
at 4:30.
hours after
Okay,
4:30.
I understand what you're saying now.
I'm still confused and lost why she's there by herself. She should be able to take a lunch, her normal lunch. That goes back to when I asked the question about the hours and people not being in the office. Because if she's in there, she should be able to take a lunch and work her normal hours like it's stated. What are we doing with these hours? On our website, it says
7:30 to 4:30.
I don't have the
And we just
staff. I
fix it.
haven't had the staff since I became treasurer. I have not had the staff.
The aspect
Before we
is,
start voting on this, we need to get to the problem. The problem is, she don't have anybody in the office, she by herself. And so now here we are, getting ready to do this, because we haven't solved the issue that she's in there by herself. Somebody needs to be in there with her, and if you don't have the other person, then you should be in there,
Michelle.
Jonna.
that's right.
It's just that simple. I'm sorry, I don't understand where we ask the question, did we go to part-time and did we just change the hours willy-nilly? Because when I first came in here, both Gail and Brendan, now we may have had some issues, but they was here, we was fighting
Sure
it
were.
together, because they was in the office. I'm just gonna go there. So I think we should figure these issues out before we start doing all of this.
I agree.
The
I agree.
aspect of the issues, you already opened up the door in regards to
So that's what
the
needs to
other
be
aspect.
resolved.
And consequently, I'm going to be enforcing what the law says. I'm in charge of all employees.
That's fine, if
just-
you have that power,
I'm-
that's
I'm
fine, I don't
letting-
think we need to have a vote, but
I'm
we still
letting
need
the
to get to
board-
the bottom of why we,
I'm
And we-
letting the board
and we
know that
haven't.
I'm going to be doing that.
Okay,
I have a
Supervisor,
motion. Any further discussion?
no, sir.
Roll call.
Mr. Mays.
Let me be clear on the motion.
Right.
I can tell you, we making a motion because we don't have somebody in the clerk's in the treasurer's office,
That's
where
not-
we at.
that's not the motion.
Instead of handling that issue, so
But-
we gonna give him the power, he already has it.
I know.
Let's handle the issue that's going on, we need to have the offices covered, so a person who's working 8 to 5 or whatever can get a full lunch, and not making up these hours as we go. No.
Yeah,
And the
'cause-
lines is long, and
Because
people can't come in. and-
why wouldn't the union be having an issue with this? Because it looked like to,
Union will file a grievance under past practice.
okay.
Okay? And so you establish things which automatically sets the township up for grievances.
Right, exactly.
This resolves that issue, period.
Okay.
Okay?
Could you restate the,
The motion is simple. It says the supervisor is in charge of all employees, period.
but that's,
The motion.
okay, that's already a fact. So,
Already in effect.
yes,
No.
No, I don't think it's necessary.
I don't think it's necessary either. Let's just handle our business.
Yes.
Yes.
There it is.
Next item on the agenda is a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
support,
Roll call.
yes.
Yes? I don't know. And do you know, and we still didn't get it solved. We still don't have the hours. We still don't have the hours.
Congratulations on the
Thank
great
you.
grandbaby.
Thank you.
Photographer come back. Gotta come. Did she come back?
Is she coming back?
I'm not sitting beside her no more.
I know that's right. It's like she over
The
here going,
photographer's coming back to take pictures. She's right here.
yeah,
You can take pictures of
they are with you.
Everything's going like that one, sort of.